If you've got a question, the voices of resin are here. Oh, PlastChicks.
PlastChicks is an SPE sponsored podcast.
Hey, girl.
Hi, look at your little nice blazer.
Well, I tried to be somewhat patriotic today since it is Inauguration Day. It's funny.
Green.
You know, I felt like that's good for the environment.
Recycling?
Yeah, totally.
That's me today. That's my outfit choice, I guess.
I just had this realization today that, you know, when the president gets off work on a Wednesday, it feels like the weekend to the rest of us.
I mean, if I was stopping my job on a Wednesday, midday, I would go straight to the bar.
Oh my God. Yeah. But back to the podcast. So I'm Mercedes Landazuri.
And I'm Lynzie Nebel.
We are plastics professionals, and with our powers combined, we are
PlastChicks.
The Voices of Resin.
We'll never get that together.
Well, especially with the Zoom thing, it's particularly difficult.
One day, and then when we're in person, we're drinking. So it's
So you can we release our podcast the first Friday of every month. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. Is it on Spotify? I think it is. It's everywhere.
Spotify.
All the big ones.
Spotify. All the good places. Google Podcasts, wherever.
Yeah.
Where your podcasts come in. That's
and we have a strong listener base in Columbus, Ohio. Is that where we are? It was like, where? Who do we know?
I don't know, but I love it.
I love
it. It's not like just my family. Yeah. Although my family's that supportive. So.
Yeah, no, same.
They're like, no, you do you, Lynzie.
But enough about us. So we have a special guest with us today that we have been wanting to have officially on the pod for the first time officially here today. And it is probably going to be our opening episode of our third season, I believe. Ooh. I think. I mean, this has been a long break that we've had, and we're not 100% like knowing of.
We don't manage our own lives. That would
not very well, at least. Yeah, we only try to manage other people's lives.
I mean, speaking as the person with the broken screen protector, I can barely handle myself. What's going on here? So we have other people that manage how many episodes we have left. So
that's right. Yes, you have
possibility. Yeah. This will be the opener for our third season.
And I have upgraded to non-broken screen, always empty battery. So. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jonathan Quinn. Jonathan, you are the e-commerce packaging and specialty shrink market manager for Nova Chemicals. Is that correct? I got that all right?
Yeah.
Long title, so many words. You're also, I think, the same Plastics News Rising Star class as Lynzie, 2018.
That is correct.
And then also 2019 CPIA Young Leader of the Year.
So that one sounds pretty fancy.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jonathan.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I've been talking to some of my friends who were excited when I was on the Quarantinis, and they are now followers of the PlastChicks. So when I told them about this, there's some excitement, and it's even excitement outside of my family. So
hey,
is it in Columbus, Ohio? That's
what I was just trying to think, and no, it wasn't.
Man, so mystery.
Those Columbus sleepers. That's a great color you've got in your office, by the way.
This is my formal dining room. So my formal dining room has become my office now, which my wife repeatedly has to remind me that I need to clean because it's still, there's no door to kind of close it. So yeah, but I appreciate it. I can actually take the credit for picking this color.
Right on.
It's actually the same color as my bedroom. So
yeah.
Hey, think alike.
We're gonna take that turn.
Typically we get started talking about people's background in the industry. We've already talked to you a little bit about that, and my most vivid memory of your start in the industry is a baby picture of you in a box of resin. Just great visual. So tell us a little bit about your career path.
Yeah, so there's a picture of me in a box of resin when I was 2. I was doing elongation testing when I was 5 because that was the cool thing to do. But yeah, my dad was the president and CEO of a couple different flexible packaging companies. So that's really how I found my way into plastics and into packaging. And then growing up, my dream was to go to Clemson and study packaging, and then one day be on the commercial side of the packaging industry and hopefully work with my dad. And so that was always my vision and my goal. But when I was a senior in high school, my dad had a stroke and became disabled. And so my emphasis and focus on the industry, I think, was further ignited because I wanted to kind of carry on what my dad had done. And so the other exciting part is my brother has followed in my footsteps, and he went to Clemson and studied packaging and is in the industry now. So it's really become kind of the next generation of, I guess you'd call a family affair. So me and my brother represent the 3rd generation of our family that's in the packaging industry. So my grandfather ran a press, and then my dad went a little bit a different route and went the more commercial side of things. But yeah, it's been, I love it. I'm a total packaging geek. I'm all about it, and I don't think that there's ever going to be a way to get me out of it.
I love it so much.
And your kids have no other choice, right?
Yeah, so it was actually crazy. So yesterday I picked my kids up from daycare. So I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we're driving home, and my daughter is singing a song and it's "Plastic Goes in the Plastic Recycling Bin." And that was the first time I'd ever heard her start to like even talk about or use the word plastic. And then it just dominoed into an education, and she probably got so bored. Sleep by the time we got home. But no, but it's, yeah, hopefully that's one of the things that I get so excited about, is making sure that my kids feel excited about it and not feel forced into it. And that, I think, is kind of the way my dad looked at it. And so hopefully they'll look at it the same way.
It's funny. It's kind of like the opposite of how Tony DeMakis's dad got him into the industry. Well, he wanted to make sure that he worked for somebody else first, to like went out on his own, right? Trying to discourage him. So Lynzie, I don't know if you caught it, but Jonathan was on Chat and Chow with Tony DeMakis from, yes. I was like, they're totally opposites in that way. But
yeah.
You also
it was funny because so my dad always had this rule, and my mom always said that, well, if you follow this rule, you're going to lose him. But my dad's rule was that he would never hire me until I turned 28, because he wanted me to go out and get knocked around and have an appreciation for being able to work for my dad. And that was one of the things that I said to Tony was, that's maybe a hidden kind of objective as to why his dad did that. And also I'm jealous of Tony and his ability to work with his dad and to have that. So just to embrace it and appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know John Beaumont Technologies, his son Alex works for him now. And, when he left college, because, he did the plastics program, he was not given an offer at Beaumont, and he worked, other companies for many years. And the reason he ended up coming back as soon as he did, it wasn't like a short time after, but was because there was just an opening that fit what his, job would have been. And so they were like, well, this is probably the right time. Yeah. And I always respected that, because I'm like, I feel like to go straight to your own family's company, you can sometimes put blinders on. And I feel like that's really nice to kind of force the other people version of what the industry should look like on you. Even if you don't like it, at least you don't like it.
Yeah. And I think you then bring another dynamic, you bring another perspective, you bring another outlook, that if you just go into the same job, the same family, the same kind of principles, you don't have the outlook outside to be able to challenge or to bring a different perspective. And having those different perspectives, I think, is what makes diverse teams is having diverse organizations, is being able to bring those differing ideas and different perspectives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Totally agree. And so right now you're working on a whole bunch of cool stuff. I mean, every time I log on to LinkedIn or anything, I just see your face there with some other thing that it's not just being reposted. It's a whole new thing. So can you talk a little bit about some of your association work and also your Friday by the Fires?
Sounds cozy.
It does sound cozy.
Well, it wasn't cozy last week, I'll tell you that much. It was raining and cold, but yeah, I'll just start with the first thing with the Friday by the Fires is really normally in traditional times in airports, and I'm recording videos and walking through airports, and it's just been kind of my deal. And then recently I started kind of walking around my backyard, and kind of got the idea to go with this new kind of Fridays by the Fire and sit by the fire and talk about whatever is going on, and really it's about staying positive and testing negative. Like that's the kind of the focus, and hopefully there'll be short little snippets of information, but that's what Fridays by the Fire have been, and I'm gonna try and keep the train moving. But as far as association, so
hold up real quick. Excuse me, Jonathan. Where can we see it? Are you doing it on LinkedIn? Are you doing it on?
Yeah. It's on LinkedIn for right now. I should probably start to venture into the YouTube world. But yeah, for right now it's on LinkedIn.
Well, awesome. I'm only up in Erie. What I should do is we should do a socially distanced fire. Fires, I believe, fall under CDC guidelines. Is cool.
And there's 6 feet of distance, and then you can. I know your husband likes beer from down here, so you can just make a quick stop, get some beer, and Friday.
I mean, in my defense, I like it too. I just can't drink it.
She can't drink it right
now. But yeah, for sure. If you want to come hang out on Friday,
this is what I do, everyone. I invite myself over, so never be within driving range of me.
You're invited. The invitation has been extended. You didn't. More than welcome.
And you're doing some stuff with the emerging leaders.
Yeah. So within the Flexible Packaging Association, this is something that I went to Allison Keene and the Flexible Packaging Association board about a year and a half ago. Year and a half, 2 years ago, and really said we need to start developing the next generation of FPA leadership, and we need to create and make FPA a welcoming organization for the next generation of leadership, the next generation of flexible packaging companies. And so got the support and the buy-in from the board, created the Emerging Leadership Council. We have close to 50 people that are a part of it. And really what we wanted this to be is really action oriented. It wasn't about having a party that we were just going to come and talk about. We were going to be delivering and bringing forward solutions and really helping to progress the Flexible Packaging Association as a whole. So we've developed a strategy, a mission, goals, objectives, and really, I will say that I could have never expected that it would be what it is today, as far as the excitement, the enthusiasm, the passion, and just the drive that everybody brings to it every time we're together. And it's something that I think at the end of my career, this will be one of those things that I will say I'm most proud of, because it's created so much progress, and we're doing things as far as understanding hiring practices and where there's gaps within the industry, and what some of the challenges that the member organizations are having with attracting and retaining talent. We're doing things like creating educational programs to go out into schools to educate them on the value of plastic and plastic packaging.
That's awesome.
And doing things in regard to training and teaching those same kids about the value of recycling and enabling programs in the schools. So those are some of the things, but it's so much fun and so exciting to be a part of, and really I think is also created a level of engagement and excitement for that higher level people, the higher level people within the Flexible Packaging Association about this group and just about FPA in general.
I love it. And also because it's National Penguin Day, I'm gonna, bring it back to my favorite penguin analogy, which when I was growing up in San Francisco, we had like the laziest penguins, and then we got like a shipment of like 6 penguins from the San Diego Zoo, which is amazing. And these penguins were like not lazy, right?
Legit penguins.
They were like, they were Southern California penguins. They had like beach bodies. They were like jumping off, swimming all around. And with those 6 penguins being so excited, the other lazy penguins were like, oh, this looks cool. So then all the penguins started getting in the water. But of course, because the San Francisco penguins were overweight, you'd just see like these like fat penguins just like coming like on the rocks, like, like they couldn't deal. But it's like, it's true. Just a little bit, a little bit of these charismatic people who get in there can really get everybody excited and get a whole new level of movement going. It's really, really cool. So obligatory COVID question. Jonathan, you're a native Chicago-lander.
Yeah.
And so maybe you've heard, but today in Illinois, they're rolling out the 1B vaccines. So that's kind of like backline workers like manufacturing and teachers and things like that. So really exciting day. So hopefully we're going to start to move out of this, but what do you see as being the post-pandemic key, or post-pan, maybe we could call it post-pan key trends, post-pan key trends and implications for plastics and packaging?
Yeah. So I've done a series of kind of webinars and interviewed for some publications, and really kind of what I see as kind of those post-COVID trends and implications. And really it comes down to 4 or 5 key things. So really what we're seeing is the cementing of e-commerce. E-commerce is here. The growth that was kind of expected to come 3 years from now really we've already hit those numbers and those kind of objectives, I would call it, as far as consumers that traditionally would be apprehensive to try e-commerce. So that, call it older demographic, has been forced into it. We're also going to see an evolution of restaurants. So one of the big things that, if you look back to the last sort of recession in 2008, was the rise of the fast casual experience. And now Mercedes, you're probably easily accessible to this. In Pittsburgh, we're not really accessible to it, but it's the rise.
Erie's ahead of the trends.
What's that?
I said Erie's ahead of the trends here.
Well, it's just as far as infrastructure. So major cities have what's now known as cloud kitchens, which is essentially restaurants without the actual infrastructure as far as having that retail location, and everything is bought through whether it's Uber Eats or Grubhub or whatever. And so it's all about just food delivery. There's no actual restaurant. Mm-hmm. And just how restaurants are going to have to change. And really, there hasn't been a flood of people going back to restaurants. And just when people have vaccines, there's still going to be a high level of consumer uncertainty or concern about going back, or what if there's another follow-up type of pandemic. So that uneasiness is not gonna soon go away. The other thing is the rise of touchless. So that's associated with restaurants, and really has a tie to that, as a tie to restaurants, as a tie to grocery stores and things of that nature, and just more packaging. So if you look at, when you go through the grocery stores right now, you're seeing more product being packaged. You're going to see more product being packaged inside the produce department, for example. But also that's going to enable the rise of click and collect. So being able to go to the grocery store, but not actually have to go in and pick up your groceries. So with that will enable people inside the grocery store to pick products at a quicker rate and be able to get in and out that way as well. And then I'll call it the fourth is obviously sustainability. Sustainability is definitely not going away. It's still at the forefront, and that is still going to be a major concern, but it's a little bit different, is that people are more focused on making sure that corporate social responsibility and things of that nature are taking place, and people are investing in that side of things. And also plastic sustainability is we've done research, I've done research looking at consumer perceptions of plastic and how plastic perceptions have actually improved because of COVID, because consumers have seen the value that plastic is bringing every day. And then the fifth and final one is sort of this trading up, trading down concept. So consumers have been forced into buying, whether it's toilet paper or whatever it may be, out of sheer availability, but things like meat alternatives and meat substitutes is one of those other things where people are being forced into trading up to try something new, try something different, and also trading down in effect to try private label products, which a lot of consumers are finding have equal or consistent quality with regard to what they were buying before. So those
That's
are
really interesting.
The long answer there.
Very
I'm
cool.
a Wegman shopper, so I've always known the private label. Yeah, that's interesting about the trading up, trading down. I didn't think about that, but like I can think of a couple things on my grocery list that I was like, before Christmas, I couldn't find any cream corn, cream chicken, I don't know, cream of something. And I remember I had to buy like this like fancy like off-brand, and my husband's like, it's actually kind of like because it had some extra, I don't know, zhuzh in it. And my husband's like, that was actually really good. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, I'm kind of, and now it's like my go-to like version of that. Not that I'm making my Christmas meals all the time.
But that's a perfect example of people being forced into trying something different that they would not have traditionally tried.
And so what is probably our last question for today, just due to timing, so I have a cutoff today because I'm working from home. My husband works from home, and we have two kids who need one of us to watch them. As we were talking, you have your two kids, and your wife works from home also. So how has that, influenced kind of like your work structure? Do you have any like hilarious 3-year-old on a conference call moments or?
Yeah. So, so until a few weeks ago, the Christmas tree was actually over my shoulder, which it never would normally have been over here. But because of in their kind of quarantined area, because they're home, I was going to say they're home alone 3 days a week, but they're not home alone. We're here, but we're the Christmas tree would have never survived with the three of them. But I think the hilarity is that on the other side of the house from where I'm sitting, but I can still see it, is the bathroom, and so my daughter is obviously become potty trained since we've been in quarantine, and so there's the repeated significant number of times where it was, Dad, I need you to wipe my butt. That happens, and it's been funny when anybody with kids who are in high school or whatever is complaining about having their kids home, and I'm like, just be happy, you guys, that you don't have to wipe. You have kids that can wipe their own butt. I still have two that can. Majority of people, I don't work with many people that have kids my age, so my kids' age, I should say. So I probably would say the funniest thing and the ongoing thing that happens.
I love it.
Yeah, we're there too. I feel like quarantine was a very ideal time for potty training. So I've had a lot of calls where I'm on it and I'm like looking at my son and I'm like, do you have to poop? Don't go over there. And I'm like, I gotta go.
Oh man. And with my kids, because they're older, it feels like it's way too early for them to have to go through the thing where like they do all this work and then it like gets erased. Just like that stress. Do you remember that ever happening in college or something? Or even like these days sometimes, but like it's like, you know, a 10-year-old having to deal with that. And it's just like, man, that sucks. You know? It's
Document being erased and thinking you've had it saved and it just disappears into nowhere.
Yeah. And you're just like a little kid, like, gee.
Right. Just want to live your life.
Yeah. Well, there was one last question we had, but we don't have time for it. I think that maybe we can do like some bonus content. I think it's a really important question, and maybe we can set up even a panel for it. But yeah, Lynzie needs to get back to her little guys.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jonathan, and we look forward to following what you do next, and definitely we'll tune in for your next Friday by the Fire.
And inviting ourselves over.
Yeah.
You're always invited. PlastChicks are always invited.
If you've got a question, the voices of resin are here. Oh, PlastChicks. Thanks, Jonathan.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.